Yeah, it's just real arbitrary, you know, where we feel like doing it.
Well, I guess in that regard, setlist wise, I mean, is there a lot of, I mean, because I know you have to play the songs that everybody wants to hear, but are there times where you guys are just really itching to put a song in there that you haven't played in a while? Or does it come down to, because you haven't played it in a while, you have to rehearse playing it and such? So, I mean, what's involved with putting a set list together, especially now with Terry as the new singer and stuff? Is he fully ready to go for just about the whole catalog, or is there certain stuff?
Yeah, I mean, anything that we throw his way, he'd be up for it. You know, it's just, you know, for him, he just needs a little bit of notice to be able to, you know, immerse himself in the tune. But I think personally he's doing a great job really focusing on, you know, encapsulating, you know, being true to the melodies, but then putting a little, just enough of a touch of his own thing into it that makes it, you know, his own. And the confidence that he's had in you know, a year and a half, almost, you know, come up on 2 years with us, that, you know, when he goes out to sing those songs now, it's like, you know, he's selling them like they're his own. So, I mean, you can't do much better than that as a front man.
Do you guys have to play any XYZ songs when you're on tour?
No, he doesn't want to do that, and that's okay by us. I mean, I would if he absolutely wanted to do. But, you know, it's like he has no problem separating the two. You know, he feels like he's in Great White now. You know, he doesn't feel like he's part of the other band at this point, even though they do have, you know, a few contractual obligations this last year to play a few shows here and there.
So the song off the new album, Feeling So Much Better, it's doing pretty good on the charts right now, correct?
Yes, actually, it's kind of stalled around 14, 15 on the charts, and actually we're getting ready to release the single, which is the ballad, Hard to Say Goodbye, and we just finished the video. We're doing the final edits on it, and it looks really, really great. It's one of the best videos we've ever done, and we're all excited about that. I think that's going to drop sometime in the middle of the month, so we're looking forward to getting that out there, and you know, that to me is kind of that ballad that's really cool, that has that kind of English thing to it. It's like, you know, as if Humble Pie would have done a ballad, you know.
Now, being that Great White's had many lows and many highs, I guess you could say, I guess what I wanted to ask, because you had the grunge era come by in the to mid to 90s and such, and you guys just got done releasing Psycho City and then Sail Away. What was it like at that particular time for you in the band right there when you saw everything industry-wise change? I mean, were you looking at, it's time for us to hang it up and move on to something else, or were you guys just going to persevere like you guys did? But, I mean, from your perspective, what was it like to see the music scene change so drastically, so quickly overnight like that?
Well, I think it was everybody's understanding, you know, from very early on that music has always been very cyclical. I mean, you can look at, you know, what we grew up with in the late 60s and the 70s and the 80s, you know, how everything eventually comes back around again. So, you know, we always have had a love for, you know, playing music together. So it was just, you know, either cower up and hide in a closet or just keep persevering and do what we do. I mean, it's like, you know, classic rock, hair rock will always have a place in the consciousness of America, you know, and we could play the middle of America for the rest of our career and it would go over, you know. Trends obviously change so quickly in Los Angeles and New York. But, you know, there's a lot of the country that people seem to forget about that, you know, even, you know, you look at the classic rock, like you go to a Styx, REO, Ted Nugent gig, and there's 18,000 people at Pine Knob in Detroit. I mean, if that music wasn't selling and people didn't want to hear it, there wouldn't be that many bodies in the building.
That is true. And like what Matt touched on a minute ago, during the grunge era in the 90s, you guys were still out touring because we saw you guys like a bunch of times, and every time we saw you, the show was better and better. Especially on the Let It Rock tour when we saw you in Ventura, and it was one of the best shows that we ever saw. And you wouldn't know it from the way you guys always played live that the whole rock scene just changed overnight. No one was buying bands from the 80s anymore. They were just into the Alice in Chains and the Soundgardens, and Great White is over with. All those bands are over with. But like you just mentioned a minute ago, you wouldn't know that from the crowd and people still going to the shows.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think because we have a blues edge, it's the music hopefully is a little more timeless than, the stuff that was coming out of bands at the time that were, some of it was more pop metal, and that was very, within the time of what the music was doing. Our stuff, we could have been a band in the middle 70s, or we could have been a band in the middle 2000s, with the new blues thing that's coming up. Yet again, it's cycling around as well, and hopefully that's the kind of thing that makes us last and makes a band like Tesla last, because there is so much of a blues rock element to it.
Yeah, you just mentioned Tesla, and I want to say one of the best concerts I ever saw was that double headlining concert you guys did with Tesla. I mean, you guys played out here at Irvine with Kicks opening up, and I also see here that depending on where you were, you also had Badlands opening up for you as well. So that must have been one hell of an experience as far as there must have been some stuff going on that tour. Any stories you want to tell?
Oh, as far as that goes, there wasn't too much craziness involved, because with me, it's always been like, what's next, I didn't really get into the drug thing. I didn't really get into the party thing. It was like, what's next? Oh, we have a hit single at radio. Oh, you got to get up at 7 to go to CHR radio. Okay, I'll do it. That kind of thing. So I took, what we did very seriously back in that time. But it's ironic you were just talking about them and that tour. Troy and I were talking at the Wisconsin State Fair this summer, and we were just really touching on how cool that tour was, and that in the future that's something that we really want to consider doing again.
I mean, it was just, for me to see you guys on a huge stage like that. I remember you had the Mr. Bone flag in the background and all that, and you had the whole stage.
Right on.
It was just a great concert, and like I said, we've seen you in so many different venues, and just seeing you guys in that particular venue where you guys were headlining to a full Irvine Meadows, it was just great to see. And like I've said to the people listening out there, if you haven't seen Great White, you definitely have to see him in person, because you guys are definitely a live band. You have to see him
live first, yeah.
Yeah, and we were telling Audie the same thing is, you're like one of those bands where, for whatever reason, sometimes the album doesn't give you guys credit as to what you guys are capable to do when you guys are live. And you guys are definitely a live band. You guys come across that way, so.
Well, thank you. We do take it very seriously about, being consistent, being, of a high quality in terms of sonics. We take care and a lot of, pride and focus on making sure that it is a great show for, every pieces from place to place to place.
So do you have like a pre-show ritual you go through?
There's not too much, it's down to the fact that we do it so lean and mean now. It's like, usually you can find Terry and I changing batteries out in packs, and, Audie warming up on his sticks, Kendall doing his guitar thing, Scott going out and checking the backline, making sure everything's okay, and, we've got the intro tape, and we'll go out and rock it up.
So one other thing, I guess, because we pretty much have run the gamut here and such, but as far as down the road, I know you got some concerts coming up. Are you guys planning on doing any, like a deluxe version of Elation or anything like that a lot of bands are doing now, where they're re-releasing the album and adding bonus tracks or remixing or doing any of that kind of stuff lined up?
We're actually working on a remix right now with George Tutko, who's, famous for working with Rod Stewart and John Stewart Mellencamp. And most of the stuff is pretty close to what the stuff is on the record as it is now, but just a few little spices up here and there. It's not really a change in the terms of production, but we were so pressed for time doing the record that I had to mix 13 tracks in 7 days. So we're looking forward to giving these tunes the care and time that we all feel that they're worthy of. So that's what's going on with that. We have plans to hopefully do at least half a record acoustically and hopefully release that as an EP in the future.
Yeah, that's one thing you guys have always done really well, too, is the acoustic shows.
Yeah, we actually did one of the shows we did over in Europe was an acoustic show.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed the acoustic shows, and then a couple of the New Year's Eve shows where we saw you like 10 years ago when you opened up with the Elton John song, Funeral for a
Oh,
Friend.
Love Lies Bleeding, yeah. Funeral for a Friend, yeah.
I couldn't believe that when we saw that. I was like, we know this song. What song? Oh, this is Elton John. This is great. I don't. Is there any video of that? I'd love to have a recording of that. It's got to be
somewhere there. I think Audie might have a copy of that, so just reach out to him. I think he might be able to get you that.
Okay, because I always thought that was like one of the best opening songs. I mean, and then you guys played "She Only" too. I don't know why I know all the songs you guys played all the time, but just being a big fan over the years, that's what it does to me. Anyhow, we wanted to ask you. You have a favorite song on the record that you really like a lot, or the whole album's just great?
Well, it's easy to say, oh yeah, I like every song on the, and it depends on the day of the week too. It's funny because we were all talking about, okay, we're thinking about the first song to release to radio and to do a video for. Pick 2 songs that you would pick, and all 5 guys picked 2 different songs. So hopefully that has something to do with the diversity of the record.
Yeah.
One of the songs that I think is quintessential to the Great White Sound on this new record is probably Love Train, because it's got that bluesy, dynamically low verse. It's real kind of seductive, and then you've got a huge chorus. You got harmonica on there. You've got the blues riffy guitar. That to me is reminiscent of the Rock Me thing. And to me Rock Me has always been the kind of quintessential thing that encompasses all the different styles about what we do as a band.
So we have one more question to ask you, then we'll let you head on over to the casino and do your show tonight. We want to know, as we ask every guest on the Hard Rockology show, your Spinal Tap moment.
My Spinal Tap moment. Oh, well, I don't know if this was one of those, incredibly Spinal Tap moments, but our bus had broken down. We were going from Iowa out to Seattle, and we had 3 days to get there. And we got, the bus was broken down, and somehow we managed to call somebody who called somebody who called somebody, was able to get us a ride in a car to the Rapid City, South Dakota airport. Now, mind you, this was like a Buick Century, and there were the 5 of us there with this guy driving who, definitely looked like he probably could have come from, one of the Freddy movies. He got us to the airport. We got on the plane at the last second, managed to fly to Seattle. We got up on the air. We're all tired. We haven't eaten for 12 hours, and everything's great. And everybody's getting fed their food, and, then they get to me and they go, we're sorry, we've run out of entrees. I'm like, wah. So I go, give me some more, maybe I'll have some more peanuts, that thing.
Uh-huh.
So the flight attendant brings out a huge garbage sack size bag full of peanuts. There must have been 500 to 1,000 bags of peanuts.
Anyhow, thanks for the story. Thanks for the interview. And we're going to play a new song off the record. You want to introduce it? It's called I Got Something For You?
Sure.
All right. Ready?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, this is one of our new songs from the brand new record Elation. It's called I've Got Something For You.
All right.
All right. Thanks a lot, Michael. Have a good show tonight.
Thank you, brother. Have a great night, man.